G'day and welcome back to another video. This one is a super exciting one because we're going to be reviewing the inspired Overland Standard Lightweight Rooftop Tent. So for a bit of context, this rooftop tent is distributed in Australia by Snowy's. So Snowy's got a couple of stores in Australia and a big online presence, but Inspired Overland is a US company, so they're very new to Australia. So when I saw this pop up, it really was a game changer for me. And I really knew I needed to get my hands on one of them. So this tent behind me only weighs 34.5 kilos. That alone is insane. There's a few other features that really make it stand out, but in this video I'm going to do a full review of it. I'm going to talk about 3 things I absolutely love about it, a couple of things I would probably change, and I'll talk about the install process, and I'll start off with all the basic specs, of course. So starting off here with the length, the external length is 208 centimeters by 127 centimeters wide and 15 centimeters high. So obviously the Jimny being a 3-door, I wanted to pick the smallest model possible. They do have an extra large version, which is about 10 centimeters longer, but I stuck for this one because it basically perfectly overhangs the Jimny. There's not too much at the front that's overhanging the windscreen, and it is pretty much flush at the back. So if you're over 6 foot tall, I would probably recommend going for the bigger one, and that's because the internal length is 198 centimeters. So I'm 183 centimeters, and obviously your feet go down this end, your head's up this end, but what that means is because there isn't an extra hinge here as part of kind of reducing the overall weight, it is just a wedge. So if your feet are here, you actually end up with less length that's available to you. So the 198 centimeters, you probably lose about 10 centimeters of it, which means at 183 centimeters, it's about as short as I would want to go personally. So like I said, if you're taller than 6 foot, take a look at the extra large version. But for me, and for probably most Jimny owners or 3-door Jimny owners, this is perfect. If you've got a Jimny XL, like, Land Cruisers, Patrols, anything bigger, I'd recommend looking at the extra large version. And on top of the extra large version, they've also got a carbon fiber one. So the carbon fiber one actually has a hard shell on it, but obviously it's made of carbon fiber, whereas these and the standard extra large version have got a UV stable PVC cover, so that's how they kind of help to keep down all of the weight. So as you can probably see, there isn't any significant compromise that makes this half the weight or even more than half the weight of the other options on the market. What's really making the difference is the choice of materials. So like I said, they've got that UV stable cover, and it's pretty similar to kind of what you'd find on like the back of a ute where you've got that PVC cover. Underneath, instead of having a piece of metal, they've got what's probably more like a tent base. Obviously still super strong, but you can reach your hand all the way through there. But it is still waterproof because when it seals up, the water obviously doesn't get inside the tent. Canvas is really nice and thick, and that means that even in winter, you're gonna have no issues using this whatsoever. As you can see, all of the sides open up. They all have fly screens, and you can zip down the canvas to protect all of them. You can zip down the sides, keep this awning open, which means it doesn't really matter what the conditions are, you're gonna get a nice bit of breeze coming through there. They're big, full-size windows, perfect on a beach like this where you can just lie up there. The sea breeze is coming through, and then you can't see them now, but when you've got your side windows closed and that front window, there's actually a little vent in there. So if you are winter camping, you still get a bit of airflow. An added bonus is that it comes with a condensation mat in the bottom. So it's a 380mm foam mattress, but then underneath that, they also include a condensation mat or anti-condensation mat. Now that you know a bit of a background of the tent, you know some of the basic specs, I'm going to tell you 3 of the things that I absolutely love about this tent. Number 1 probably goes without saying, because I know I've said it about 5 times already, it's got to be the weight, 34.5 kilos. For me, it was mind-blowing to see that when it was on the website page before I got it. 34.5 kilos, when you compare that to the other options in the market, a lightweight tent like this would probably be around 55 to 60 kilos, and that's going to go all the way up to like 100 kilos depending on what brand you go for. I don't feel that there's any compromise here in materials that they've used. Obviously that's how they've achieved the lightweight build, is by switching out the steel, aluminium top and bottom, and they've gone for the fabric instead. But for me, that doesn't feel like a compromise in quality. I don't feel like you need that. And I think that generally the market agrees, because over in the US, as I was saying, Inspired Overland being a US company, they've won awards at SEMA This is viewed as a very innovative product, and I think in Australia it's something that we've never seen before because we only have big heavy tents that go on big vehicles. So when I saw something like this, I absolutely knew I needed to get my hands on it. Now the second thing I love about this tent is the ease of setup. So I've gone through heaps of different setups. I also do a fair bit of overnight hiking. I've had plenty of different tents over the years, and this is by far the easiest one to set up that I've ever had. The previous rooftop tent gave you all the benefits of a rooftop tent, but was quite hard to set up or even harder to pack up. You know, you'd kind of be at the end of a long weekend, you're done camping, you know, it's 10 o'clock, the sun's beaming down like it is now, and you'd need to be kind of like climbing up on the side, climbing up on the ladder, tucking in all the bits of fabric as the tent folded back over. You know, you would get the zip snagged, you have to then put the cover over. If you've got a rooftop tent, I don't need to say more, I'm sure you probably understand how frustrating it can be. But this one, quite literally, you undo the clip that's at the front there, you walk around with the zips, 2 zips there, and then you just push it up. You've got 2 gas struts, so 1 on each side. That takes all of the weight off and just lifts the thing up. And then if you want to, and this is an option, you can put these 2 poles out, and that just gives you some extra, it just makes it a little bit more rigid depending on the wind. And then you've also got these 2 metal kind of tension poles here that prop out that awning. And then that's pretty much it. There is a ladder on the side, which obviously comes with it. But if you've got a rear door ladder like me, I just can climb up that ladder and it's one less thing to set up and one less thing to carry around. Now the third thing for me that I absolutely love about this is how easy it was to install. Snowy shipped this to me straight to my door. The couriers even delivered it into the shed because I wasn't there, which is really kind of them. But everything that I needed to install it was in there, and I mean quite literally everything. Even the ratcheting spanner that I would have loved to have came in the kit. So that just extra level of attention to detail does make a huge difference when you're installing like this, something like this. Obviously at this size, you probably just want someone, a second person, to help you lift it up onto there. But everything that you need, all the brackets, different options come with it. So this is, I've got a full roof rack in there, and I did have the brackets to suit the full roof rack. They're rubber lined, so you don't get any vibration. There's no rusting because it's not rubbing metal on metal. If you've got crossbars, it's probably even better because they're even lighter. It comes with a crossbar mounting option too. Or obviously all the nuts, bolts, everything like that comes with it. The ladder comes with it. And yeah, for me, like I said, the icing on the cake really was a ratcheting spanner, because when you're trying to get your hand in here to try and tighten up those nuts, a ratcheting spanner just makes a huge difference. So I'll give you a closer look at some of the features. You've got the ladder here. It sits into 2 holders here, which is nice, super secure, obviously adjustable, feels very sturdy. And then when those 2 holders aren't in use, that's where that tensioning bar goes in, just there. But quite spacious inside, and like I said, you get heaps of breeze up in there. We'll go up and I'll show you inside. So inside the tent now, you can see that sitting up, there's heaps of room above my head. This is obviously the high end of the tent. You've got a nice breeze coming through, so big fly screen window there, fly screen window behind, fly screen window on the side. You can roll them up, and you can see that there's that vent that I was talking about just here. And that vent basically just means that in winter, or when you've got everything closed up because it's raining, you can still get some airflow in. The mattress is super comfortable, 380 mil with that anti-condensation mat underneath. I'll show you what it's like laying down so you can get a bit of understanding of, if you're my height, how much space you can expect to have. It's definitely one of the most awkward things I've filmed, but you can see, like I said, 6 foot tall. If I'm lying down, my head has got just a couple of inches and my feet are pretty much very close to touching the end down there, but they're not quite touching. So if you were any taller than 6 foot, I'd definitely recommend going for the extra large version, but any shorter, this is perfectly fine. And there's plenty of width to cross for 2 people to kind of lie here comfortably. There isn't obviously room for gear in this tent, being that it's shorter. I know that some of the other tents have a bit of extra storage or a bit of area at the end where you can put your bags. Obviously being on top of the vehicle, you can just put them in there, but it does have some nice boot bags that are on the side, so you can keep them nice and dry up off the ground as well. Now, when I started this video, I told you I would tell you something that I don't like about this tent. There is only one thing that I don't like about this tent, and it is the size, and that is 100% intentional and self-inflicted. It's not a product issue at all. And the reason that I went for this tent, despite the team at Snowy suggesting that I go for the extra large version, was that because the Jimny is such a small vehicle, I didn't want it to overhang the front. So the standard version already overhangs by like 5, I think 8 centimeters. And I thought that if I got the one that's, you know, an extra 10 centimeters longer, it might look a bit ridiculous overhanging at the front. So I did opt for this one. The solution is obviously to get the extra large version if you are taller than 6 foot, or The only time I ever touch the end is if I'm lying dead straight down the middle of the tent, which I don't naturally sleep like that. It's only to prove a point or to show the length. I typically sleep on my side with obviously a slight bend in my knees, and when it's like that, I have no issue touching the end of the tent whatsoever. It's really comfortable. But all I would say is just be mindful of the length that you choose, and they've obviously got it covered with an extra large version anyway. But that's the only thing that I don't like about this tent. 100% recommend this tent. The quality is fantastic. It's super comfortable. Like I said, super innovative to the point that they won a SEMA award, which I find quite cool. But if you are interested in these, I'll leave some of the links down below. You can get them from Snowy's. They've got a couple of stores, so you can even go check them out. But I think that these are going to be super popular because they just break the norm of what we've got in Australia, which is heavy accessories, always have huge accessories. And that's why when I first got the Jimny, it was very hard to find accessories like camp chairs or, you know, anything really that wasn't just outrageously large, that was just designed to be chucked in the tub of a ute. So when I find products like this, I absolutely love it because there's so much extra thought that's gone into, you know, making it different, putting different materials in that make it stand out from the market. So like I said, I'll leave some of the links down below. If you've got any questions, message me on Instagram, drop them down in the comments and I'll get back to you. But yeah, these are available exclusively from Snowy's in Australia. So jump online, have a look and let me know if you've got any questions. Thanks again.